In today's podcast, we have a wonderful conversation with Tina Singh, who designed bold helmets for Sikh children. ਆਪਣੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮਸ ਆਉਂਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਐਕਟੀਵਿਟੀਜ਼ 'ਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜੇ ਪਾਰਟ ਲੈਣਾ ਹੋਵੇ, ਖਾਸ ਕਰ ਫੋਰਨ ਕੰਟਰੀਜ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇੱਥੇ ਸੇਫਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਪ੍ਰਾਇਰ ਮੰਨਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਕਿਸੇ ਐਕਟੀਵਿਟੀਜ਼ 'ਚ ਜ਼ਿਪ ਲਾਈਨ, ਆਈਸ ਹਾਕੀ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਐਕਟੀਵਿਟੀਜ਼ 'ਚ ਪਾਰਟ ਲੈਣ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਹੈਲਮਟ ਕੰਪਲਸਰੀ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਤੇ ਬੋਲਡ ਹੈਲਮਟਸ ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਲਈ ਬਣਾਏ ਆ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪਟਕਾ ਬੰਨ੍ਹਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਸਰਟੀਫਾਈਡ ਹੈਲਮਟ ਉਹ ਪਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ ਸੇਫਟੀ ਲਈ। ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹ ਪੋਡਕਾਸਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਵਰ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਕਿ ਐਜ਼ ਅ ਮਮ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਕੁ ਔਖਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿਸੇ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਨੂੰ ਗਰੋ ਕਰਨਾ। ਆਈ ਹੋਪ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਪੋਡਕਾਸਟ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਲੱਗੂਗਾ। ਵਾਚ ਦੀ ਫੁੱਲ ਪੋਡਕਾਸਟ, ਸਬਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਐਂਡ ਫੋਲੋ ਅਸ ਔਨ ਇੰਸਟਾਗ੍ਰਾਮ। Thank you for coming on our show.
No, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's an honor. ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਸਟੱਡੀ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ 2007 ਚ ਆਕੂਪੇਸ਼ਨਲ ਥੈਰੇਪਿਸਟ ਦੀ ਪ੍ਰੈਕਟਿਸਿੰਗ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀਗੀ।
ਹਾਂਜੀ।
ਤੇ ਉਹ ਕਦੋਂ ਤੱਕ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀਤੀ ਆ? ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਤੋਂ ਜਰਨੀ ਸੁਣਨਾ ਚਾਹੂੰਗਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਨਾਓ ਯੂ ਆਰ ਸਟਾਰਟਿੰਗ ਅ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ। ਇਟਸ ਟੋਟਲੀ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਟ ਫਰਮ ਦੈਟ ਥਿੰਗ, ਰਾਈਟ?
Totally different. So 2005 ਚ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਮਾਸਟਰਸ ਆਫ ਸਾਇੰਸ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸਿਟੀ ਆਫ ਟੋਰਾਂਟੋ ਚ, ਆਕੂਪੇਸ਼ਨਲ ਥੈਰੇਪੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਤੇ ਮੈਂ 2007 ਚ ਗ੍ਰੈਜੂਏਟ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਮੈਂ 1 ਸਾਲ ਆਪਣੇ ਮੈਂਟਰ ਸੀਗੀ ਮੇਰੀ ਇੱਕ, ਤੇ ਉਹਦਾ ਪ੍ਰੈਕਟਿਸ ਸੀਗਾ, ਮੈਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ 1 ਸਾਲ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ। ਉਹ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਪ੍ਰੈਕਟਿਸ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ 2008 ਚ, ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਉਹ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੀ ਰਹੀ until now, right? ਜਦੋਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਹੋਏ ਸੀ ਮੈਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਪਾਰਟ ਟਾਈਮ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੀ ਸੀ, ਪਰ ਉਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਕਰਦੀ ਸੀ ਆਕੂਪੇਸ਼ਨਲ ਥੈਰੇਪੀ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ, ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਹੈਡ ਇੰਜਰੀ ਦੇ ਏਰੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੀ ਸੀ।
ਓਕੇ। ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਕਈ ਵਲੌਗਸ ਵੀ ਵੇਖਿਆ। ਕੰਟੈਂਟ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਸ਼ਨ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤੀ?
Yeah, so content creation ਮੈਂ 2015 ਚ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀਗੀ। I had my third son, ਉਹ 3 ਮਹੀਨੇ ਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ, ਤੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਫੋਟੋਆਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ, ਕੋਈ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ, ਰੋਜ਼ every day ਚ ਕੰਮ ਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬਿਜ਼ੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ। ਸੋ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਮੈਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਬਣਾਉਣੀ ਆ, ਵੀਡੀਓ ਜਰਨਲ ਬਣਾਉਣੀ ਆ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ। ਸੋ I think the best thing that came out of YouTube ਵੀ ਹੁਣ I have this video journal, ਮੇਰੇ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਦੇਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਮੰਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਰਾਈਟ, ਜਦੋਂ ਛੋਟੇ ਸੀਗੇ। ਹੁਣ ਮੇਰੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡਾ ਹੀ is 11, ਸੋ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਇੰਜੋਏ ਕਰਦਾ ਦੇਖਣਾ ਵੀ ਕੀ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਉਸ ਟਾਈਮ। ਸੋ ਮੈਂ ਕੰਟੈਂਟ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਸ਼ਨ ਉਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ।
ਉਹੀ ਮੇਨ ਆਈਡੀਆ ਸੀਗਾ, ਰਾਈਟ?
ਉਹੀ ਮੇਨ ਆਈਡੀਆ ਸੀਗਾ। ਤੇ ਸਾਲ ਕੁ ਬਾਅਦ ਮੈਂ I really realized I'm connecting with a lot of moms, a lot of South Asian moms. ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ YouTube ਤੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਆ, Instagram ਤੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਆ, there's not a lot of South Asian moms. Right. Everything is very quiet about ਜਿਹੜੀ ਵੀ struggle ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ, ਤੇ it's difficult to take care of kids, ਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਿਖਾਉਂਦਾ। So my content changed a little bit to talk more about that.
ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਕਨੈਕਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਇੰਨਾ ਦੱਸਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ, ਤੇ ਉਹ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੋਰ ਕੀ ਫੀਲ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਕਨੈਕਟ ਕੀਤਾ? ਕੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਿਆ ਕਿ ਕਿਉਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਹ ਕਰਦੇ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ?
ਸੋ ਆਈ ਥਿੰਕ ਸਾਡੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਹੈਗਾ ਵੀ ਜੋ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਉਹ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੂਜਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ, ਰਾਈਟ? ਸੋ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਿਆ ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਹੋਰਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨ ਲੱਗ ਪਈ, people relate to me, ਉਹ ਅੰਡਰਸਟੈਂਡ ਕਰਦੇ ਵੀ ਮੇਰੀ ਸਟਰਗਲ ਕੀ ਆ, ਤੇ ਉਹ ਵੀ they feel good. ਮੈਂ ਹੁਣ ਸਟੋਰੀ ਦੱਸੂੰਗੀ ਵੀ this weekend I was at Gore Meadows Boothly for bold helmets, ਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਆ ਕੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ ਖੜ ਕੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਵੀ I watch your vlogs, and when you talk about anxiety, that really, really helped me. I hope you come back to YouTube, right? So I think all ਜਿਹੜੇ relationships ਹੈਗੀਆਂ, they build confidence in the community. They make people feel connection. ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ also COVID, 3 years.
Right.
ਲੋਕੀ were stuck in their house with their kids home. ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ connection ਹੈਗਾ, they want to know that someone understands them. And so that has been sort of where my journey's been.
Basically, they want to do something, but there is something stopping them. That's why they can relate you more, like
there's something stopping them, or maybe there's something with one of their kids they're struggling with, and they feel like no one understands them because they can't talk to their family, right? They talk to their mom, they talk to their friends, and they say, oh, don't worry, it's all going to be okay. Sometimes you need someone who understands exactly where you're coming from. Not everyone does.
Do you think it's a cultural thing?
I think it's a cultural thing, but I think even in Western society, I think even, with born and raised Canadians, and I'm a born and raised Canadian as well, but just that South Asian background, like my parents are from India, right? So it's the same you know, we don't share too many of our problems with other people, but I think it's important. And I guess because I'm an occupational therapist, I have a lot of focus on mental health. And so I realize how important that connection is, right, with people, to feel like I'm not alone, who's working.
Right.
Yeah.
As a mom, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਕੁ ਔਖਾ ਹੈ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਤੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਕੰਮ ਵੀ ਕਰਨਾ। ਹੁਣ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਵੀ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ, YouTube ਕੰਟੈਂਟ ਵੀ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ, ਇੰਨਾ ਕੁਝ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਮੈਨੇਜ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ?
So ਕਈ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਤਾਂ I had to let them go. YouTube ਹੁਣ ਕਈ ਚਿਰ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਮੈਂ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਪੋਸਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤੀ YouTube ਤੇ। I decided I can't do everything, and so I have to decide where I can spend my time. My importance is ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਕੋ time spend ਕਰਨਾ ਤੇ business ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨਾ. Those are my two important things. ਚਲੋ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੰਮ ਘਰ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਕੰਮ ਹੈਗਾ ਆ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ outsource ਹੀ ਕਰਤਾ, right? Like I have someone who comes to do cleaning and stuff. Because ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੈਨੇਜ ਹੁੰਦਾ। ਜਦੋਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਛੋਟੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਮੈਂ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਕਰਦੀ ਸੀਗੀ। But now that we started Bold Helmets as well, now I really can't. Now, you know, every day, all day is
managing everything.
Yeah.
It's so
and, you know, my kids finish school at 2:30. ਜਦੋਂ ਘਰੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ focus ਹੁੰਦਾ 9 ਵਜੇ ਤੱਕ, right? ਫਿਰ ਕੰਮ ਕਰੀਦਾ, right? So life is still busy and hard, but it's okay for me right now because I love what I do.
Yeah, but you are so creative, right? ਇੰਨੇ ਬਿਜ਼ੀ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ YouTube ਵੀ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਆਪਣਾ ਜੌਬ ਵੀ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀਗੇ। ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਇਹ ਬੋਲਡ ਹੈਲਮਟਸ ਦਾ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਆਇਆ ਆਈਡੀਆ? People doesn't bother, right? ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਇੰਡੀਆ 'ਚ ਵੀ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਹੈਲਮਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ, ਉਹ ਪਟਕਾ ਬੰਨਦੇ ਆ and they think it's safe, right?
It's fine.
So how did you thought about everything?
So ਇਹ ਮੇਰੇ ਰੀਅਲ ਲਾਈਫ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਆ, ਰਾਈਟ? ਮੇਰੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਛੋਟੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਤੇ ਸਾਈਕਲ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ, I was scared they would fall. ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਸੀ I worked in occupational therapy and head injury. ਮੈਂ ਬਹੁਤ clients ਨਾਲ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੋਇਆ who struggled with a head injury. Now ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ head injury ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ car accident 'ਚ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਸੀਗੀਆਂ, but ਫਿਰ ਵੀ head injury, even a minor head injury, makes a significant impact in your life. ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਵੀ ਚਲੋ ਮਾਰਾ ਹੀ ਆ, but executive functioning, which is controlled by the front part of your brain, that executive functioning, any injury to that, it's hard to plan, it's hard to organize, all those things that you need for every part of your life, right? So executive functioning is one of the ones that gets easily affected with head injuries. And we know it's preventable. Wearing a helmet decreases your chance of head injury by 69%.
Right.
We have the research, right? And so we just wanted to create an option for the kids who want to wear a helmet, parents who are informed about head injury, they should have an option too.
ਫਿਰ ਇਹ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਆਈਡੀਆ ਆਇਆ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਡਿਜ਼ਾਈਨ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ?
ਸੋ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਰਿਸਰਚ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਦੇਖੀ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਹੈਲਮਟ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ, ਅਸੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਸੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਹੋਣੀ ਆ ਕਿਤੇ। ਬਹੁਤ ਮੈਂ ਦੇਖਿਆ that there was nothing, ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਇੰਡੀਆ 'ਚ ਕਿਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕੁਛ ਮਿਲਿਆ। So then I said to my husband, maybe we can just design our own, right? It doesn't seem that hard. It just seems like a small modification on a helmet. My husband is an engineer. And so he's a computer engineer, but, you know, we talked about how can we design this? So we just drew it out. We're like, we think it should just look like a patka. It didn't seem hard to us. We said, like, this seems simple. Jado asi design firm kol gaye, we said we need some help to draw this out, to make a CAD file or blueprint of this product. We actually went to 3 different engineering firms, and some of them refused to work with us. Some of them, even though we're paying them, which is a really interesting experience. So kehande bhi aisi sochte bhi toda banna hi nahi. You're not going to make it to the end. You're going to have to keep changing, and you're going to run out of money before it becomes something that's certified. Exactly. We think we can make a design, but you're going to have to keep changing it until you get certified, and you won't be able to. The last company that we spoke to, they were very excited about the idea, which means you have to find the right partners, right? You need to find the right people to work with. Os engineer, he's a design engineer. Os engineer, he drew out our design. So jera sega si banaya, he made it into a CAD file. That CAD file is what we can use to manufacture or create a prototype. So that was our starting point.
ਜਦੋਂ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਉਦੋਂ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਰਿਵਿਊ ਸੀਗਾ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦਾ?
ਜਦੋਂ ਸਾਡਾ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਟੋਟਾਈਪ ਸੀਗਾ, ਉਹ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਡਿਜ਼ਾਈਨ ਫਰਮ ਕੋਲ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਟੋਟਾਈਪ ਸੀਗਾ, I tried it on my kids and I was so happy. ਮੇਰੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ happy ਸੀਗੇ. Yeah, it fit properly, the first prototype. ਉਹ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਅਸੀਂ minor change ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀਗੀ, but it fit pretty well. ਪਰ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪਹਿਲਾ prototype ਸੀਗਾ was a 3D print. So we tested that with the kids. ਸਾਡੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ neighborhood ਦੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵੀ try ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ make sure ਕਰ ਵੀ ਇਸ age group ਚ size ਚ ਜਿਹੜੇ helmet ਦੀ sizing ਹੁੰਦੀ ਉਹ standard ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿਰਫ ਇੱਕ extension ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ right just to create the dome ਜੂਰਾ ਵਾਸਤੇ. And when it fit, that's when I went to a manufacturer and said, I need to create some of these. And we made some changes, but I need to create some of these for testing. ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ testing ਹੋਈ ਆਦੀ.
Okay.
Yeah.
ਤੇ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫਿਰ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਵੱਡੇ ਲਾਰਜਰ ਪਲਾਨ ਤੇ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਇਹ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਣ?
Yeah, ਜਦੋਂ prototype ਆਇਆ ਤੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੇ try ਕੀਤਾ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਠੀਕ ਆ ਗਿਆ it works. ਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ manufacturer ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਵੀ we need to make few changes ਪਰ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਵੀ ਇਹ safety certified pass ਹੋ ਜਾਊਗਾ. ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਫਿਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਵੀ I'm creating for the larger market, right? ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਡਾਕੂਮੈਂਟ ਸਾਈਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਡਿਜ਼ਾਈਨ ਇੰਜੀਨੀਅਰ ਨਾਲ I spent all this money to do this ਜਦ ਮੈਂ ਉਹ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ I'm committed to seeing this to the end. Like I will run out of money or I'll get to the end, one or the other.
And how much is the price of the helmet?
So right now in Canada the Canadian price is $79.99 online, and we're hoping because it's a specialty product,
right?
Like for example we can only produce like 4,000 units where other companies produce like 100,000 units, right? So our costs are definitely higher. So we're still in line with a specialty helmet, but right now we're $79.99 online.
And there is no one else who is producing this helmet?
There's no one else who's creating this product. Yeah.
Because ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਹੀ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਟ ਸੀਗਾ ਨਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਇਆ ਉਦੋਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਬ੍ਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਚ ਵੀ ਇੰਸਟਾਗ੍ਰਾਮ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਵੀ ਇਦਾਂ ਵੇਖਿਆ ਸੀਗਾ ਸਾਰੇ ਕਿਤੇ ਪਪੂਲਰ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀਗਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ.
Yeah, I did a lot of media in January. I think I did every news station in the country actually. Right. In January, so that was really great. And what was really great to see is how much outside of the South Asian community, how much support there was for this idea.
Right.
I had someone come to me and she teaches Learn to Skate program in Brampton. ਤੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਵੀ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਹਫਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਨਿਆਣਾ ਆਇਆ ਸੀਗਾ ਤੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਹੈਲਮਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਸੈਕੰਡ ਵੀਕ ਆਇਆ ਸੀਗਾ he came with my helmet. ਚਲੋ it's not for skating, so ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਾਡੀ helmet ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ it's for biking, rollerblading, skateboarding, right? So ਅਸੀਂ hockey ਦਾ ਵੀ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਹੁਣ but it's not ready yet. ਪਰ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਵੀ because it's a basic program ਅਸੀਂ allow karta ਉਹਨੂੰ ਵੀ he can wear this helmet. So ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਸੀ ਵੀ it was really great he had an option when he came the next week, right? So that's what we want everyone to be included. ਜਿਹੜੇ schools ਹੈਗੇ Brampton ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ they take their kids to skating, outdoor skating, Christmas time, right? ਤੇ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਵੀ helmet required ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ rent ਕਰਨ ਨੂੰ there's no helmets or ਜਦੋਂ ਬੱਚੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ there's no helmets, right? So sometimes they have to sit out, sometimes they have to have special things signed from their parents, and so we want to make sure that doesn't happen.
ਕਿੰਨੀ ਇਨਵੈਸਟਮੈਂਟ ਲੱਗੀ ਸੀਗੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਚ?
This investment, so till now the investment is almost 200,000 to this investment for this one product. ਅੱਗੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੋਏ will be less. Because when we have a general mold, less iterations, less changes, because ਹੁਣ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਵੀ what works, what doesn't work, right? But ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਚ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਹੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, so it's between I think 175 to 200,000. ਪਰ ਉਹ investment ਅਸੀਂ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੋਏ because it matters to us, right? ਵੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਵੀ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਾਣੇ ਕੋਈ ਹੋਰ ਵੱਡੀ ਕੰਪਨੀ ਨੂੰ ਤੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਡਕਟ ਬਣਾਓ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਵੀ ਮਾਰਕੀਟ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ. ਸੋ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤੇ ਵੀ ਕਈ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਵੀ helmet ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ, right? I think that's our biggest challenge. ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਬੱਚੇ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਹੈਲਮਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਦਸਤਾਰ ਬੰਨੋ. ਮੈਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਠੀਕ ਆ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦਸਤਾਰ ਬੰਨਣੀ ਆ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬੰਨ ਲਓ, right? But ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਵੀ ਉਹ same ਗੱਲ ਆ helmet ਨਾਲ it's not, right? Is there some safety? Yes, but we have testing and certification behind our helmets, right? ਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਆ in Canada, in Ontario, ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਹੈਗੇ under the age of 15, 16 ਉਹ ਪਟਕੇ ਬੰਨਦੇ ਆ. They don't wear the mala, they don't wear the star. So I feel that those parents who want an option, they should have an option. And when we look at our kids in hockey, they don't have an option. They have to wear a helmet. And the helmet doesn't fit. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਹ ਬੱਚੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁੱਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ, but that's what they have to do. They have no choice. Yeah, so I think that's the biggest challenge we faced.
And ਕਿਵੇਂ overcome ਕੀਤਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ?
We're still overcoming it. Jada ਅਸੀਂ education ਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ. We're trying to create visibility. We're trying to explain to people why it's important. And I think ਜਿਹੜੇ understand ਕਰਦੇ ਉਹ ਗੱਲ ਨੂੰ, they're eager for this product. Even if ਚਲੋ ਉਹ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਵਾਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਰੱਖਦੇ or whatever the case may be, ਉਹ ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ। ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਵੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੱਡੇ ਹੋਏ ਇੱਥੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਲੋੜ ਸੀਗੀ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦੀ ਤੇ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀਗੀ ਆ। We support you in what you're building, right? And so I think it's going to take time. Yeah.
ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਹਾਰਡ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਕੱਲੇ ਮੈਨੇਜ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਜਾਂ ਟੀਮ ਰੱਖੀ ਹੈ ਤੁਸੀਂ?
No, so ਮੈਂ ਇਕੱਲੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹਾਂ। ਕਈ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਲਈ when my husband is home, like I mentioned, he's an engineer, so when he is home, he can help with some things, but for the most part I'm by myself. I have an email marketer that does that for me, but I'm going to be looking to expand my team going forward because I shared that I have 3 kids and it's very busy.
ਸਾਰੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮਾਰਕੀਟਿੰਗ ਐਂਡ ਐਵਰੀਥਿੰਗ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਕੱਲੇ ਹੀ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ?
ਕੱਲੀ ਕਰਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ order ਵੀ fill ਕਰਕੇ drop ਕਰਦੀ ਹਾਂ shipping carrier ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲੇਗਾ। So I'm hoping in the next few weeks that I'm going to have a service for that as well. But right now ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਰੇ pre-orders ਸੀਗੇ, I think I had 500 pre-orders, ਉਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਮੈਂ fill ਕਰਕੇ ਆਪ ਛੱਡੇ at the carrier because we're a small business. You can't in the beginning, you can't spend so much money to do all those things.
Right.
You know, I shared the investment we made as well in this. So we had to make sure that we were lean with what we put out there in the beginning.
And it's a big investment, right?
It's a big investment. And, you know, for someone doing a startup, it's not the easiest startup to do because it's a product that has a safety certification. So there's more to it.
Yeah. And are you earning right now?
So right now, well, we are selling. We do have revenue coming in, but we don't it's not profitable because we've made it a bigger investment.
Yes.
I'm confident we will be profitable soon, but at the moment, when it comes to me actually taking home a salary, I don't take home a salary at this point.
Right. And what about the YouTube creation?
Yeah, so the YouTube creation, I tell everyone, YouTube, do it because you love it, not because you want to earn money from it. It's very difficult to earn money in the YouTube space. I did it to connect with my audience. I did it because I loved it. My YouTube work, I did have some paid partnerships on YouTube, but the majority of my paid partnerships are on Instagram.
Okay.
So I find right now that Instagram has more paid partnerships than other platforms for me. Yeah, for me.
And now, what are your personal goals, not your business, but what you want to do in your life?
My personal goals right now is to spend as much time with my family as I can. My kids are growing, and so my personal goal is really to build a business where I have more time for my family. That's my goal. It feels like sometimes when we talk about our personal goals, it's always related to business, and that's the case for me. It's always related to business. My goals as a person are still very heavily tied to bolt helmets.
Right.
And so my goals in that space are really to expand our product offering, expand to other markets. And that's where my heavy focus is. And other than that, my goal is to spend time with my kids, my husband and my dog.
As I can see, you are so motivated. ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਇਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਵੇਖਦੇ ਆ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਰਾਊਂਡਿੰਗਸ 'ਚ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇੰਨੇ ਮੋਟੀਵੇਟ ਹੋਣ, ਇੰਨਾ ਕੁਝ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋਣ ਆਪਣੀ ਲਾਈਫ 'ਚ?
ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, you need to have the right company. The people around you, they have to be motivated for those things too. Many friends around me run businesses, run multi-million-dollar businesses, have very profitable, successful companies, social enterprises. And so ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, ਉਹ ਵੀ company ਹੋਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ. You need those people, you need mentors, you need friends who do those things. So I like to share about what I'm doing, and I hope that even sharing on social media makes people try something new, try a business. You don't have to stick with what you were doing all the time. ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੰਮ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤਾ bold helmets ਦਾ, ਇਹ completely different ਹੈਗਾ ਜੋ ਮੈਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੋਇਆ, right? So it's completely out of my comfort zone, right? So I had to try something really new in this space, and that's okay. Yeah, but I want to be really honest about this because I know that your audience is a lot of South Asians, international students here in Canada. We need to be really honest about this. When you take on a project like this, it's because you have privilege. It's because you have money to use there. So we have to be really honest about that you need the support, you need the financial backing to do stuff like this. Not for every business, but for certain businesses. And so I don't ever want anyone to feel like they're not doing enough.
Right.
It depends on your life situation, right? ਜਿਹੜੇ international students ਇੱਥੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ, they go to school, they work, they're working all the time, right? And so we really need to consider that. But I really encourage our students now to really think about building wealth in different ways and doing business or doing jobs in different ways. You don't have to do what everyone else is doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What are your suggestions to new international students who are coming here, especially women? What message would you like to give them?
You don't have to do what everyone else is doing, right? You can try something new. I always tell everyone that they need to have security, right? You need to have a job so you can pay your bills. That's the reality of life here. You need a job to pay your bills, right? But you can also start something on the side if you want to. If you don't want to, that's okay too, but make sure that you can be independent. We talked about family. When you're growing up in India, you have family around you, you have other people to support you. Sometimes when you come here, you are all you have. And so you have to be able to support yourself. So work on being independent. And the women who come here, especially, work on being independent because you won't always have someone to support you in your life here. My upbringing is different than a lot of people. And so I never wanted to be dependent. There is times in your life you're dependent. I wasn't really working. There's times in your life you're dependent. But I think you really need to realize that independence is what gives you freedom. What gives you freedom. If you're depending on someone else for everything, you'll never be able to, fulfill the goals that you want to fulfill, right? Apni bhi goals honiya chahidiyan. Even if you come here for a program, je oh tonu nahi suit kita, oh program karke, maybe you're working part-time, whole program kar lo, you're already living here, right? There's more opportunities. Education, I think, is key. You need an educational background, so you always have something to fall back on.
You can't buy education, you can't buy time.
You can't, you can't buy education, you can't buy time.
Yeah.
And, doing any of these businesses, yes, I want to create social change with the helmets. I want to create social change. But at the end of the day, anyone who starts a business, you're doing it for financial freedom later, right? You're hoping that the work you put in will, make a difference in the world, but also lead you more freedom, right? And so when I look at my parents came here when they were, I think my dad was like 20. They were very young when they came here. And so like my parents are incredibly successful here, and it's because they stepped outside the box, right? Like my father is a Petro-Canada retailer. He has multiple site locations. He is well over retirement age, but never wants to retire because he loves what he does, right? And same with my mom. So I think it's, again, doing businesses outside the box, doing something different than what you were doing before. And I've seen a lot of international students do incredible things here as well. And so I really want to encourage people to try something new.
When you studied here as a brown kid, there is any problem in schools? Like racism and all that stuff.
Yeah. So jab main choti si in the 80s, I was born in 82, so I'm 40 now. But when I was growing, I grew up in Scarborough, so not in Brampton. I grew up in Scarborough, which is about 40 minutes from here. And us time te inne sare Indian nahi sige, right? There was racism, right? We didn't fit in as much as the other kids, the white kids or the black kids. We didn't fit in as much as them. But fir bhi I wasn't the only Indian. Maybe 3-4 jane hone us time mere school cha. People look at your food differently. They look at you. You look different. Your parents look different. Your parents have an accent. Everyone talk. So oh thoda ja siga, but inna zyada nahi siga. I think it's where I grew up too. My husband is a Sardar. He grew up in Malton. Malton chon inne sare Punjabi hege, but os time nahi sige. He's 41 as well. Os time, minu das siga jado, Mary mother-in-law nu walk kardi school nu, people spit on you. People say all this stuff to you. Like when we think about it now, it's like, oh my God, how can people do that to you? Te chote bachchiyan nu, right? So oh bhi bahut gallan kada bhi ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਸੀਗਾ ਉੱਥੇ the racism, right? Sardar banke, they faced a lot of racism. Even though we walk down the street, we might not face racism. That internalized racism is still there. I think when we apply for jobs, we get judged on what our name is, right? I think when people see us, when people see international students, when people learn about them, they have this idea of what they're like. And I think that takes a lot of time to break down and change. So we still have work to do, but I do think on a global scale, things are better. Canada, we're very lucky. We have a lot of very prominent Sikh people, like visible Sikhs, right? We have Harjit Sajjan, we have Jagmeet Singh. We have a lot of very visible Sikh people in public places in Canada, which is
Parliament.
Yes, which is amazing. And then, even I'm going to do a little brag here. Even my sister, she's very she's very prominent in the media, right? So she's everywhere, and so people get to see a Sikh woman
And your sister name?
Lilly Singh. Yeah, it's very prominent in all the places and all the media
knows about her.
Exactly.
She's your real sister?
My real sister, yeah. Okay. 6 years younger than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And-
You missed that in your research.
Yeah. No, I did saw your
Yeah.
video you posted
Yeah.
7 years ago.
Yeah. A
And
long time ago.
It has around 7.3 million views.
Probably, yeah. That was so YouTube was a different time back then, and that's the time I really enjoyed doing YouTube. YouTube now is completely different, and I think my life phase is different too. I think you'll find this as you're going on as well.
Right.
At a certain point in your life, you appreciate a little bit more privacy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਜਮਾਈ different path choose ਕੀਤਾ, right?
I think same thing. Like ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਸੀ, ਮੇਰੇ parents ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ, you need to be independent. I know ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹਨੇ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਨਾ ਸੀ, she wanted to start this thing. I remember my parents said to her, once you finish your university degree, you can take a year to figure out what it is you want to do. And in that year, she worked incredibly hard and proved that she has a place here. And I think that's what it was. And we are very lucky to have very supportive parents.
Yes.
Of course, what we're doing is outside,
Right.
I'm an occupational therapist, but we're outside of, doctor, lawyer,
Right.
doctor, lawyer, engineer. And so I think that is just, again, another example of how us being flexible and trying new things and parents and families being supportive can lead to great things.
Right. And thank you for coming. It was a great conversation.
Thank you.
And last question, is there any message you want to give to our community?
Yeah, I think for our community, I really want them to know that collectively, like together, we can make a lot of change. I know being here in Brampton, we feel like there's a lot of Sikhs, there's a lot of Punjabi, we have a lot of visibility here, but there's still so much more work to do. Like I talked about, when someone sees your name on a job application, they have an impression of you. I think as, the South Asian community, we need to take a lot of pride in who we are, what we do. And in Brampton especially, I'm feeling people are really saying negative things about the South Asian community. I'm seeing it from outside communities in a way that I've never seen before. I lived in Brampton for 15 years. And I think that it's really important that we battle this type of racism collectively as a group and work less on divisions inside our community and focus more on us as a South Asian, or a South Asian background collective. Like we are together, we are one, we are Canadians, we're proud Canadians, but really, making sure we're not dividing among ourselves. And I think I'm seeing a lot of that. I really want us to stay collected and united. And we have, the international students, the new Canadians, the immigrants, we have a lot to offer this country. Even born and raised here in Canada, I still have the Indian heritage. I still have the Indian background, South Asian background. We have a lot to offer this country, and we're, it's an incredible community, and I want us to take pride in that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Thank you for coming. Thank you. It's an honor.
Thanks.
Hey everyone, I hope ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਪੋਡਕਾਸਟ ਵਧੀਆ ਲੱਗਿਆ ਹੋਊਗਾ। ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਇਨਸਪਾਇਰ ਹੋਏ ਹੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਰਨੀ ਸੁਣ ਕੇ ਤੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਦੇ ਸਟਾਰਟਅਪ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈਲਪ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰੋ, ਖਾਸ ਕਰ ਮੌਮਸ। ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਹੈਜ਼ਿਟੇਟ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਰਨੀ ਸੁਣ ਕੇ ਇਨਸਪਾਇਰ ਹੋਣਗੇ। And subscribe to our channel, follow us on Instagram. ਆਪਾਂ ਇਦਾਂ ਦੇ knowledgeable podcast ਪਾਣੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ, so please follow our page, like, share, comment guys. Thank you for your time. See you in the next video. This is CANCAST by Soham Rajput.